Chiefs Kingdom, ACU crew. We're doing a little bit of a tailgate party tonight. It's a little early, Steve. It's a little early.
It's a Wednesday war room, an early one.
That's right. It's the war room, not the tailgate party.
Yeah.
We didn't even have the background up for you. Let's switch the background over. Let's switch the background. Here we go. Wednesday war room. Look at that. Now I remember.
Now you know it's Wednesday.
I have remembered that it is Wednesday.
You need a different background for every day so you can know what's going on.
Right. The days are flying by. Is that what happens when you get older? Time just goes 3,000 times faster than when you were a child.
Yeah, for sure. That's a proven fact. I can tell you.
I know what it is. Because we've all bought into a system where we just work our lives away and we hate it. So you just spend your days hating everything.
Wishing your time away. Yeah,
looking for 4 hours on Sunday. And then the Chiefs come out and lay an egg. That's what happens. But 8-4. Hey, I'm being told, we're being told that 8-4 is exceptionally awesome. This team is amazing. You touched on this last night a little bit. Everybody's like, hey, this team still got a chance. Nobody ever said they don't have a chance. When you got Patrick Mahomes, you got a chance.
Right.
Steve, I'm just having trouble trying to figure out what everybody's watching. Like, are you guys watching the same games we are? Like, we look pretty bad at times, and like, this is kind of scary creeping into the time of the year where we need to be clicking.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. We've had, in past teams, even last year, they looked bad at times, but it's like a constant this year. It's consistently bad for the offense. There's only been flashes where they looked decent.
Yep,
usually it's the other way around. They look good, and then they would all of a sudden just look really, really bad for like a half of football or something like that. This year, it's a complete opposite. It's backwards. Obviously, there's a glaring problem in the wide receiver room. We have no hands, no one to throw the ball to. It's becoming apparent seeing how Patrick's playing this year. It's a problem. It's a problem they didn't solve. It's a problem we've yet to be, it's yet to be seen if they're going to solve it.
Right.
So, I mean, that's where we're at.
Well, that leads us to the question of the day. And this has been going around X. This has been going around everywhere. People's been battling. There's some people on the fence here. They're like, look, the Chiefs are struggling, man. Like, some people's already given up Super Bowl hope. Some people's given up even not a playoff berth, but a playoff win. I've seen people say we're going to get bounced in the first round. I've seen people say that we may not hang on to win the division. We'll talk about that in a minute too, by the way.
That's wild.
It's wild, but when you think about it, there's 5 games to go. We're only up 2, and do we hold that many tiebreakers over Denver?
You realize if Denver had won this game and Russell didn't throw a pick in the red zone, it would be 1 game difference.
1 game.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. 2 games is not like astronomical. Like, Denver's played good football. They've won 5 out of 6. We are sliding the wrong way.
They were trying to say the Chiefs had the West locked up after week 6 or something like that. So it's weird how things can change quickly.
It is strange. But so that leads us to today. The Bills on Sunday in Arrowhead. Is this a must-win game for the Chiefs, Steve? Is this a must-win?
Is it a must-win? I will say no. They don't absolutely have to win it. But if they want the 1 seed and they want the best chance at repeating and getting that Super Bowl title this year, it's a must-win. If you're happy with the Chiefs, limping into the playoffs and taking their chances on winning 4 games straight with a bad offense, then yeah, it's not a must-win. Right. It just depends on which way you're looking at it.
Yeah, I don't think it's must-win for us to get in the playoffs. They can lose this game and then go on and win the Final 4. You can lose 2 games and win 3 out of the 5, whatever. I think 3 wins from this point puts us at 11. Then again, who knows? The AFC is packed. It's tight. There's a ton of teams within 1, 2, 3 games out of the first possession of the number 1 seed. So it's getting super tight. You start getting into all these like tiebreakers and who does this and who does that. And God forbid you start having the same tiebreakers. You have to go to points scored. My God, we don't want to get in that battle. We're averaging like 22 a game or something. Like, that's pathetic. So I don't think it's must win for the long term, as in, no, I don't think our season's completely dead. But is it a must win if we want the number 1 seed? Absolutely. Is it a must win if you want to keep this fan base from not pulling their hair out? Absolutely.
Yeah. Like I said, it's all about perspective, man. I think, like, in my personal opinion, I feel like it's a must-win game because I feel like you have to do your best to get that 1 seed. You already squandered being in the driver's seat, so now you got to do your best to get it. because that's our best chance of winning this thing. 3 games in a row with Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Andy Reid, Chris Jones. I'll take my chances on that any day. You throw in a 4th game with an offense that can't score, and that gets a little sketchy. I know a lot of the teams in the AFC right now are playing with backup quarterbacks. Now's your time to separate yourself. They should have been doing it 3 weeks ago, but the Chiefs have dropped 3 of the last 5 games now. So they're definitely not taking care of business. And I think this is the week to start doing that. Whether it's an ugly win or however you get it done, you just have to make sure you get it done, and you have to continue to try to get better each week. I know it's late in the season, and they've yet to show any improvement really on offense, but you got to start now, man.
Right. So looking at the game, you got Buffalo coming up. Again, Buffalo is a hungry team right now. They cannot afford to lose. They are going to be coming into Arrowhead. Yes, desperate. That's the word. They're going to be desperate. They always play us well in the regular season. It's always their Super Bowl. If you think that we're going to go into that game, and if we don't come out playing at 120%, and by the way, we can be clicking on all cylinders, and I guarantee you, between timely calls and luck and whatever have you, Buffalo will be right in this game.
Oh, for sure.
You're not blowing them out. If anything, if there's a blowout, if anybody utters the word blowout, that's not good for the Chiefs, because it could be us on the receiving end the way we've been playing.
I don't
play like you did against Green Bay, we get beat 40-10.
Right. I don't think we have the firepower and offense to get in a shootout with Buffalo like we usually do. You just can't do it, or you're going to get beat bad.
Not close, especially with all the injuries that we're having on the defensive end.
Our defense has to step up big this week. There's a lot of injuries going on. We're not sure what's going on. Nick Bolton practiced today.
That's amazing.
What about that? So, I mean, that's a big thing. But yeah, we have a lot to overcome on the defensive side of the ball as far as injuries go. And like you were saying, Mike, Buffalo's a desperate team right now. They literally is a must win for them. Like, they can't lose anymore. If they want a chance of getting in the playoffs, they cannot lose another game. And that's how they're going to be playing this game right here. I mean, it's do or die for them.
Yeah, for sure. So you've got Buffalo. I don't know which way I want to pick this game right now, but I don't think any sane person in the world can say with sheer confidence that the Chiefs are going to win this game. Like, we've not shown enough to make you confidently be like, I have no worries. This game is in the bag. I don't see it.
Right. The way they've played 3 of the last 5 games, and even the way they played in the wins that they had.
Exactly.
It gives you no confidence. It really don't. Right.
So then you get New England at Foxborough. Again, that should be a lock win. But at the same time, everybody brings their best shot. It's at Gillette Stadium.
I personally think that Green Bay should have been a lock win.
Right.
I do.
That's what I'm saying. So is there such a thing as a lock win anymore? No, there's not a lock win anymore with this team. Vegas played us pretty tough. I mean, they kind of give up towards the second half. They played us tough. We'll get them at Arrowhead. That should be a win. The Bengals with a backup should be a win. But the backup just threw for almost 400 yards the other day, and they knock off a big player in the AFC because, like you said last night, tons and tons of weapons on that team, man.
Yeah.
Dude, when you have Jamar Chase and Joe Mixon and T. Higgins, and they're drafting the kid from Princeton, and you've got a pretty solid defense, those dudes are not out of any games. You play like you get against Green Bay, and they're going to wallop us. Because know them, we're their Super Bowl every year for the fans and everybody.
For sure.
And then, of course, last game of the season, we have to go to LA and play the Chargers. And we know how those games go. They're always within a score. So I don't see how anybody can be super confident to say that, hey, we're going 5-0. We're doing this, we're doing that. We could as easily go 0-5 as we could go 5-0 the way this team's playing. And that's not me losing any confidence. That's just me looking at this with reality. Taking the rose-colored glasses off. Look, I'm removing these. We're going to take these off. And we're looking at the situation as it is. And this team has not instilled a lot of confidence. They're playing with a lot of injuries. And nobody has stepped up this season when it's counted.
No.
We've asked for a wide receiver to step up, and it's not happened.
Right. There's no go-to whatsoever. But appreciate you guys being here. Make sure to hit that like button if you haven't already, and we'll start getting in the chat here in just a second. I do see a discussion going on between Joshua, K. Wayne about the Matt Nagy problem. Joshua thinks Nagy's a problem. K. Wayne doesn't necessarily think that. I covered that a little bit last night. I don't think you can pinpoint Matt Nagy. I think he holds a piece of the pie like everybody else, but I think that's a scapegoat. I don't think that's the actual problem. What do you think about that, Mike?
Chiefs fans, any fan base in general, looks for a scapegoat when things go wrong. Andy is pretty untouchable. Nobody will hardly ever say Andy's the problem, even if the play calling stinks, even if the 4th and 1 and the 3rd and 1s have struggled now for 3 straight seasons. You just can't do it, even if the players aren't going into the same position. You're not allowed to talk about Brett Veach. He's untouchable. He's won 2 Super Bowls here. He's, he's drafted great drafts.
Right.
He's actually, you can't even say he's not taking good wide receivers. Like, that's out of question now because we've become a fan base that's very much just unicorns and rainbows. It's amazing to live in that fantasy world. But yeah, you can't say Patrick Mahomes has had a bad season. You can't do that. You can't say he's looked a little worse this year. And I'll say, look, it's tough to say Mahomes has been bad because when you don't give the guy any weapons, you kind of proved our point.
I mean, he can be not as good as usual and it not be his fault. So I mean, those can both be true.
I think the blame lies across the board with some of these struggles. It has to. Look, Veach didn't address the wide receiver problem. They listened to everybody saying Mahomes could make the water boy a Pro Bowler. You don't need weapons. Mahomes is going to elevate him. Across the board. Play calling's not been great, this and that. But do I blame Nagy 1,000%? No. Nagy is a scapegoat. It's an easy one because, be enemy, blah, blah, blah.
Right, and he didn't do well with the Bears, and people want to say that
Nagy's a little bit of a scapegoat. But at the end of the season, if somebody has to be cut to prove that something was wrong or whatever, I would much rather them fire Matt Nagy than to cut Patrick Mahomes, fire Andy Reid,
I think
or
we
get
all
rid
know
of
where
Brett
this is going to go.
So if Nagy has to be the one to go,
if the offseason comes up and they're looking at that instead of Marquez Valdez-Scantling or even a receivers coach or something of that nature, I think you got a bigger issue.
If MVS is not gone after this year, we need to protest Brett Veach.
Right.
Like, I think he might be certifiably insane.
Yeah, but I'm with K. Wayne with this sentiment. I think blaming Matt Nagy's kind of like blaming a plane wreck on the stewardess. Like, I feel like he's just a little piece in the puzzle, and I don't think you can put it straight on him. Does he own a piece of it? Yes, but other than that,
everybody owns a piece, baby.
Right. Hey, Julia Gulia says, "Oh, Mike with a drip today. What am I? Chopped liver, Julia Gulia?"
Yeah. Well,
look,
I don't usually wear the Chiefs stuff, man.
I'm just messing.
I don't usually wear the hat. I don't usually go forward with that. I'm a backwards hat kind of guy, and I'm a very black wearer. I was telling everybody this year, they're like, "Man, do you want some Chiefs gear for Christmas?"
You don't wear a lot of color, yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, I wear black. You know how hard it is to find black Chiefs gear? It's pretty rough. And then even if you do, I just don't walk around.
There's a lot of it.
I look strange walking around in bright red and yellows, and like I look like Ronald McDonald.
That's just in your head.
Okay, maybe so.
Yeah, it is. It's in your head. You don't really. You look fine.
Like some of the.
Mike, you look good right now.
Thanks. I do like some of the drip, like the old school white with the. I like the white stuff, but I'm gonna get that dirty, and that means you can't eat spaghetti ever again.
But a question from Julia. She says the Ertz rumor real. I'm assuming someone's made the rumor that Ertz is going to come to KC. I don't know. Nothing's been said about that whatsoever. I have read a couple things that said there are a couple teams they thought were in that are out on him, but they said that one of the main front runners for him right now is actually the 49ers, which is odd. But I think the 49ers, they're just like the Eagles. They're going to snatch up everybody they can get. They have no salary cap. And if they don't use them, at least someone else can't at this point. So, I mean, if you already have a Pro Bowl team, go ahead and stash everybody else too. That way, other people can't get better. So I wouldn't be surprised at all if that doesn't happen.
Right. So I've read that the Eagles have inquired about Zach Ertz. They've talked with his team. I've read that the Ravens have they pretty much just teased that they were looking at him, but there's been nothing come out. I've went as far as to try to track down some of his wife's social media to see if she give anything away.
Stalker.
See if she was traveling. Julie Ertz, I think's her name.
Stalker.
I was looking. Yeah, I'm kind of a stalker that way. But the only thing I'm finding is with you. I'm hearing that Kyle Shanahan, not Mike. Kyle Shanahan really likes him, and that the 49ers are the most interested team out of the group. It wouldn't surprise me if you could team him up with George Kittle. Cool. George Kittle also is one of those guys that you just can't trust to stay healthy a lot.
Right.
So that would be a nice insurance policy. For us, I honestly don't think a 33?
Yeah, I think he's the same age as Kelce. He's the exact same age.
I don't think he's as good as Noah Gray. I'm going to take heat for that probably because there's a lot of people that don't like Noah Gray. But I think Noah Gray, if given the opportunity, has produced this year.
True. I think Zach Ertz has a lot of experience on Noah Gray, and I think it's a veteran with sure hands that you can rely on. I think Patrick could be pretty comfortable with a guy like that, finding soft spots in his own and things of that nature.
How much does he come in instantly, knowing not the playbook, not the terminology? Like, so how much does he contribute instantly?
I think he could contribute some instantly just because of his experience. I mean, like you said, he's Kelce's age. He's been playing as long as Kelce. He's been a pretty dang good tight end, especially receiving. And I think that, you know, a guy with that much knowledge and that much experience, like, they can definitely help, whether they know the playbook or not. I mean, Kelce's running off script 90% of the time anyway. So, I mean, Zach Ertz can do the same types of things, find the soft spots in the defense, as long as him and Mahomes can get on the same page. But I'm with you. I think Noah Gray's a valuable weapon for this team, and they've got to start using him a little bit more.
Yeah.
Especially with Kelce kind of taking a step back or whatever else going on there. But I wouldn't be opposed to the Zach Ertz signing. It's just like adding a piece of, you know, an experienced piece in a Super Bowl run. We've done that with edge rushers and stuff before. Why not do it when you're struggling on the offensive side of the ball? So I'm not opposed to it, but I don't think it's necessary either.
Well, look, the only experience I have with Zach Ertz was about 5 years ago playing fantasy football. I drafted him so I could name my team my Zach Ertz. My Zach Ertz. My Zach Ertz. I lost that year. Screw Zach Ertz. I don't know.
Was it his fault?
Yeah, I mean, if I'm going to name my whole
team,
I
feel like he was a pretty good fantasy tight end there for a while.
Right. And I missed him. It was a year that was a miss, and I kind of hold a grudge against him. It's that simple. I'm holding a grudge on this guy. So if we get him, we get him. I don't care.
No, man. I mean, yeah, adding any kind of a piece like that with experience, that helps. And you never know, it could help the rest of the tight ends and receivers too, having a guy, you know, like that in the locker room. So, I mean, you never know. It could be a great move, even if they do it and it doesn't work out. It doesn't really matter at this point. It's not like we got much, you know, you don't have much to play with at this point, right? Like, I mean, you've squandered your opportunities to trade, right? And there's not much to sign out there. So, I mean, if they want to add a piece, I think this would be it. If they don't, they don't, you know?
Right. I hear you. KC fan says, hey, ACU crew, I voted yes in the poll. The poll, what was the poll? Oh, the poll was is this a must-win game? This game is an absolute must-win for us. We need to get things right. I'm just stopping by to say hello. I got to run some errands before seeing my mom. Casey fan, hope your mom's doing well, by the way.
Yeah.
Hope that's going well. Haven't heard from you on that front. Hope that's good. ACU crew is still behind you here. Hope everything's good there. Steve, I think the sentiment is, I feel like a lot of people do think if you have a logical brain, if you're using your brain and not your chief loving heart, I think you have to say, look, where there's smoke, there's fire. And there's been a lot of smoke. There's been a lot of bad juju going around.
There's been no juju. That's the problem.
Yeah, I think that's the problem. Juju somewhere in New England sucking. We didn't see that coming. Hey, take some money to go play with Mac Jones.
Hey, and you know, Mike, maybe the problem is that you're a Grinch. Maybe your Chiefs loving heart's 3 sizes too small.
Man, I don't know. I like the Grinch, though. He's a good guy. I think the Grinch is a misunderstood human. And people just
he's not a human, but...
Well, he's a Grinch. He's an onion-loving Grinch. There's nothing I like better to do than to put on the Grinch song about You're a Mean One and just make up my own words to it driving down the road. And
sounds like something you would do.
I tell him his balls stink and everything during that song.
I will tell you this.
And it's just like
a little off subject.
Him to insanity.
A little off subject, but we'll get right back to football. The animated Grinch movie that Pharrell Williams did, I had not seen it until recently, and it's actually really good. So if you haven't watched that, you should watch it. If you're a Grinch fan.
Is that the last Grinch animated one?
I believe so.
Yeah, that one and the Jim Carrey Grinch. I mean, come on. Jim Carrey was made to be the Grinch, wasn't he?
Yeah.
That's enough Grinch talk. By the way, appreciate you guys being here.
Back to the Chiefs.
Back to the Chiefs. We got 35 likes. Come on. That's weak. We got 171 people in here. Let's at least get to 50. I know it's early. But we're talking Chiefs. And we're talking Bills Chiefs this weekend. Steve, do you think Josh Allen shreds up our kind of depleted defense at this point in a way? I mean, we're not super depleted, but when you start to, okay, so for example, Drew Tranquil, we'll say he can't play. We say Nick Bolton's probably not going to be ready. You're probably starting Jack Cochran again. Now you don't have Brian Cook on the back end. Again, you do have Mike Edwards because that was a good pickup by Brett Veach. Mm-hmm. You've also got the rookie, Chamari Connor, who he's a rookie. He's going to make the mistakes. Does the defense take that big of a drop off? Because you've seen Green Bay front to back. I felt like they started a little shaky again, just like they did against the Raiders. And then I felt like the injuries started taking a toll on their psyche a little bit, and they just kind of quit.
Right. Well, to answer your question, I don't think Josh Allen will dice up the defense. I don't think as far as like the pass game goes, they might hit a big one here or there. We got to watch those chunk plays with Buffalo. You never know when they're going to hit one deep with Stephon Diggs or Gabe Davis. You also have the little slot receiver coming on, big Khalil Shakur or whatever his name is.
Oh yeah, from Boise.
Yeah, so I mean, you have to be careful with the big play. But the main thing I'm worried about with the linebackers being depleted and things like that, and even if Nick Bolton comes back, I mean, by all means, he's coming off an injury and he's not played in weeks. We really got to watch the rushing game with James Cook and Josh Allen. We're going to probably see a lot of busted plays where Josh Allen gets a lot of yards with his legs, and we can't let that turn that game into what we saw in Green Bay where the defense can't get off the field.
Right.
That's the main thing for me with the defense. Do I think they're going to let Buffalo, go out and score 40 points? I don't. Even if there are some injuries and things like that, I think Spags can get them in positions to still be very competitive. But I do think just like every other game this season, I think it's really going to hinge on the offense. Can the offense match the intensity of our defense? Can they get out there and keep the defense from being on the field the entire game? Can we have some valuable drives that take up some time off the clock and put points on the board? That's the name of the game with the Chiefs this year. If they can do that, we're fine. Our defense, even at their lowest, is going to be good enough to win games, I think. But our offense has to put in their part.
Yeah, offense has to. They have to try. They have to produce. I will say, I'm not for sure. Do they have to hit 30 to beat Buffalo, do you think?
I maybe not have to, but I would be comfortable with 30. They have to. I think they need to be around 30 plus. And I think that's the sad thing is when you have a Mahomes offense, we've got used to expecting 28 plus points per game. And that's, kind of few and far between this year, to be quite honest. So
right. I think Buffalo can score on this team. Why? Because James Cook running the ball. They've got, I don't remember the other running back they got there, but they run the ball pretty well. We've seen that over the past few weeks. They've kind of went to the run a lot. And then Josh Allen has got, his legs. He's going to beat you with the legs too as well. So I think that all the elements there that the Chiefs struggle with, closing in on a quarterback, that's something that George Karlaftis, GK's screwed up his entire career. He just can't get fast enough to get there. So all of these things kind of, in my opinion, I think that's why the Bills always play us so well. I feel like the matchups are just always good for the Bills with us. So It's not great. Kathy asked.
It's kind of like the Chiefs and the Bengals. It's always a tough matchup. Same with the Bills. Yeah.
Right. Kathy, good to see you. She asked, what's Tranquil's status? As of earlier today, he's still in concussion protocol.
Yep.
From everything I've read, he
wasn't
able to practice.
He's not going to play this week.
Yeah, by Wednesday, if he's probably not practicing, he's not out of concussion protocol, he's probably not playing. So you're going to see Jack Cochran getting his first start with the green dot. He's got to put
throw Bolton back out there. But I just honestly,
I feel like rushing Bolton back's a little iffy.
That is iffy. That's very sketchy. But I mean, I don't think that Andy Reid and crew would put him back on the field if they don't think he's ready. So if he is out there, I'll feel confident with it. But like I said, he's going to be a little rusty. He hasn't played much at all this year, and he's coming off of an injury. So it'll be touch and go for sure. He might not even get a lot of snaps. It could still be heavily Cochran getting most of it.
Right. Scott, what's up, brother? He says, could Nick Jones be brought up and Jaylen Watson play some safety to help make up for some of the Cook snaps? That would be a good idea. I think Jaylen Watson, honestly, could probably play safety pretty effectively. Like sometimes with corner, like he's the big physical guy, but you'll see him sometimes just be a tad bit tight in the hips, a little too slow. They'll kind of get him on his roller blades, and he kind of gets whiffing back and forth a little bit, and he lets up some plays. But
I think
safety could be cool, but I don't know.
I think you're going to see a lot more Chamari Connor.
Yeah.
Also, do we still have Deion Bush?
Yes. Deion Bush, I think, will be called up or something.
I think you'll see a little bit of each of those guys. Connor actually got a lot of playing time after Cook went down. Connor's a very good player. He's an exciting player, but his style and his inexperience right now is kind of susceptible to big plays. So you got to be a little careful with Connor in the game. But I mean, he's only gonna get better with the playing time, with the experience. So I got to put him out there and let him go. And that's what they did to the rest of the DBs, the young guys. So, I mean, why not do the same thing with him,
Yeah.
I want to bring this one up. Kansas City Area Youth Jazz Inc. What a name, baby. So his first time commenting, usually just watch and listen. Got to go, guys. Keep up the good work. Appreciate you commenting, man. You should get in and hang out and talk more often, but we appreciate you listening. And glad you said something today.
Some youth jazz. I feel like in today's world, it would be tough to get children into jazz music.
Yeah, no kidding.
But you're doing the Lord's work, because, I mean, jazz music's difficult.
Yeah.
We're musicians, and I bet you jazz might be one of those that I would not even want to attempt. So many weird timing
it would be, it'd be interesting for sure. Gary says, everyone, please look into Scrambling Armchairs episode today on our tackles play or lack thereof. He knocked it out of the park. Scrambling Armchair been real supportive of our channel while we're going through all the BS with YouTube. So we want to make sure we support him back. So if you have not subscribed to the Scrambling Armchair, please go do that. Subscribe. Chiefs Podcast. He's got some good stuff going on over there. And like Gary said, he talked about the tackles today. So check that out. Just wanted to bring that up and highlight that.
Also, this goes with this. Gary, he says he didn't point fingers, but he had a perspective I had not realized. What was the perspective, Gary, if you don't mind me asking?
He said, we'll go listen and you'll find out. That's what Gary's going to say. So go check it out.
You got to help me out, because I'm not going to be able to go listen, because
Mike, you get a long drive tonight. You can listen to the Scrambling Armchair.
Oh, you're right. I guess I could. I was going to say I'm working for the majority of the night, but yeah, I guess I could turn on.
I don't know what you're battling on your end. Are you battling a fly?
Yes, there's a freaking fly, and it won't go away.
I keep dumping Mountain Dew all over myself every time I take a drink.
I want to kill this thing so bad.
We're a little disheveled today, man.
Look, we look mental. I'm looking like it's crazy. Like, I wish this dude would go somewhere else.
Amani says, did y'all see how stupid the NFL is for letting Von Miller still play after that altercation? Absolutely. I think it's BS. And I think it goes to show you how, if Justin Ross is still on the exempt list, even though he's been dropped of all charges.
Didn't the woman come out, though, and say she made it all up?
Yeah, sure she did. Yeah. Well, I mean, all the charges have been dropped against Justin Ross. You haven't heard a peep, but, it's instant with Von Miller. So, I mean, it does show you the hypocrisy in the NFL, and big names.
The Chiefs are beloved by the league, and we get all the calls.
Especially in a year where we are struggling to find a wide receiver that can produce.
Heard that all year.
It would be really nice to have Justin Ross to see if they would give him more snaps. The same way they've trickled Rashee Rice into the offense and he's getting more snaps. I think they would have possibly tried the same thing with Ross, but we missed out on that opportunity.
Yeah, I feel like Ross at this point, like the season's just done. Like, I don't know if we'll see him back.
Yeah. Brian Parrott. Yeah, YouTube's got a stranglehold on us right now, my man. I've noticed that as well. But yeah, you made it. Better late than never, Brian Parrott.
Don't get me started with YouTube. I don't even want to. We're almost done with it. We'll just put it that way.
Robert, what's up, bud? He says, what happened to the play action, or better yet, the screen game? Man, I tell you, they've had Patrick Mahomes under center way more than they've ever had before. And I think that Andy is actually heavily relying on the run game. And this is kind of something I wanted to, well, as much as Andy could anyway, right? I mean, for Andy Reid, it's been quite a bit. We were talking about earlier, the Chiefs don't want to get in a shootout with Buffalo, right? Because we don't have that type of offense anymore. Are the Chiefs kind of turning into that more clock control type team where our defense is good? We have a really good run game. We need to take time off the clock and be efficient and score when we have the ball, as opposed to quick strike offense like we used to have, where we could score 25, 30 points in a quarter. I don't think we'll ever score 25 in a quarter, but you know what I'm saying. They were getting just huge chunks back in the day, and now it's more sparse, I should say. But I think we have to be more efficient with the possessions we do have and put points on the board, even if it's 3. Got to limit turnovers and things like that, because I just don't think this offense has the firepower it used to.
Right. I actually went looking for that stat. I was very curious. Out of all the games this year, I wanted to look at how much possession we had compared to our opponent, right? Because our offense feels like our offense is struggling to sustain drives and to keep the ball on the field, and it seems like we're seeing a lot of our defense. But check it out. In week 1, Detroit won that game, and technically we could have won that game, but they controlled the clock for over 5 more minutes than us. After that, we ticked off 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 wins in a row in which we controlled the clock more than the other team. So that kind of answers your question. When the offense can sustain drives and we can establish somewhat of a running game, we're good to go. Against Green Bay, we lost the time of possession. Offense couldn't stay on the field long enough. Now, it wasn't a lot. It was within a minute. So, I mean, but if you look at that game, we necessarily wasn't dominated front to back. It was a pretty even game back and forth. We just had to settle for field goals, and they were putting the ball in the end zone. That was the difference. If you go to Vegas the week before, we controlled the clock. Against Philly, we controlled the clock by 5 minutes, and we should have beat Philly.
Yeah.
But the Chiefs beat themselves. The Chiefs beat themselves against Philly. That's the only game. And then if you look at our losses, Denver had 8 more minutes of clock than we did in week 8 when they beat us. Miami actually outdid us by almost a minute. But the Chiefs, if there had been 3 more minutes on the clock, the Chiefs could have lost that game because we quit after the first half. Yeah. So you seen in the first half, look good. And then, we got a defensive possession score there, with the Brian Cook return and different things. So There's a lot of things that go into that here and there. But yeah, what it looks like is when the Chiefs offense can control the ball a little bit, because like you said, we're a defensive team now. Sadly, we're a defensive team that needs to control some clock and keep the other teams off the field, because when their team's out there, our defense will struggle to stop them because they get tired. And then if our defense is letting up points, our offense can't hang. That's what I'm seeing.
Yeah, and to answer Robert's question, what happened to the play action? I think, like, with the running game we have right now and the fact they're using Patrick under center more, I do think play action could be effective. But then again, our biggest problem is receivers and them not doing the right things, not running the wrong routes, not making the right decisions and things of that nature. So I don't know how much that helps you when we just don't have anybody to throw the ball to other than Kelce. The screen game, though, I think that's definitely something they've got to rely on. I mean, screen game to the running backs, that's one thing. Like, they can be effective if a team's blitzing a lot or something like that. You can kind of do some delayed screens. But most of all, I think that the Chiefs really need to rely on those wide receiver screens to Rashee Rice and even Sky and Kadarius Toney. Like, those are all guys that can make people miss an open field. So, I mean, if they're not being effective the way that you need them to be as far as route running, making right decisions, and doing things of that nature, let's get the ball to them quick and see if they can create. And I think that's something that we need to start leaning into more. And, of course, that can get a little predictable. But that if that's working for you, it's going to open up some other things. So, I mean, it's just kind of like that way in football with anything. If you got one thing working for you, it's going to open doors to other things. And I think that right now you have to rely on the run game and the screen game.
Right. So, Amy asked, do you know what DB we picked up on practice squad and which wide receiver did we cut? On the 5th, so that was yesterday. We picked up the safety. We picked up Tyree Gillespie. We put him on the practice squad, and I think they got rid of Chase Cota.
Was he a Missouri guy?
I'm not for sure where Chase Cota come from. They brought him in during camp just for a little while, but they terminated his contract. So, who are you thinking of?
Gillespie. I got him mixed up with somebody, don't I?
Oh, I thought you were talking about Chase Cota. My bad.
No.
Yeah, I don't know about Gillespie.
Yeah,
Chase
he played
Cota,
at Missouri.
Okay. Yeah, and Chase Cota was the wide receiver. I think he played at Oregon, I think. So they terminated him. I don't think that's a big loss. I don't think we'll see either one of them probably get called up.
Like, I think in hindsight, like maybe we saw a very significant injury at camp for this season. Because whether he made the initial roster or not, I think this season could have been a Nico Remigio type season where we could have got a guy in there that could do something for you. He would have got some opportunities, I believe, and I think that Nico could have been effective. And
Nico kind of has the he kind of had the Juju vibe for him. He knew how to get open. Right. He knew how to be available.
Reliable, like going to catch the ball, like that type of guy. And when we saw him go down, no one liked that, obviously, and it sucked because we liked what he was offering in camp and things like that. But you didn't really think, hey, come week 14, 15, whatever it is, I bet we're really going to wish that had never happened. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Gary says that Scrambling Armchair talked about our new tackle who got reps. So that's Wanye. How he was graded by PFF, which I'm pretty sure he graded out pretty decently. Better than our starters, flaws in our left tackle and right tackle, and how to address them. So I will have to go check that out because I am kind of curious what he says. What I think that he may say, and I could be totally wrong, I'll guess. Wanye played pretty well at left tackle when he got his shot. He gave up a sack at one point. It kind of stalled out a drive, but the sack was not Wanye. When you go back and watch it, Mahomes pulled what Mahomes has been pulling all year. He hung onto the ball too long. He drifted behind the pocket. He drifted out of the pocket. He got sacked. Wanye had his guy 11 yards in the backfield. Like, if you're getting your guy to take an 11-yard loop, you should not be running square into your quarterback 11 yards deep. Shouldn't be happening. That's on Mahomes. Mahomes does that a lot. And look, Mahomes did that last year a lot. Mm-hmm. Why do you think Wiley and OBJ, again, and I know nobody likes OBJ, and I know you don't like Wiley, but we said that last year. We were like, look, Mahomes is kind of creating a lot of his own problems because he gets weird in the pocket. He hangs onto the ball. He likes to drift. Mahomes causes his own stuff sometimes.
Did you happen to catch, I don't mean to cut you off, but did you happen to catch what Tom Brady said about Patrick Mahomes recently?
No.
He said he's got to learn how to
where he said he was mediocre, was it?
No, he said he got to learn how to get rid of the damn ball. Like it got brought up because of the crappy call on the sideline there in the Green Bay game.
Yeah.
And of course he said that was on Mahomes, and then he said, in general, he's got to get rid of the damn ball. That's his best defense, and he holds on to the ball way too long.
Look, if the greatest quarterback to ever play the game, and I think you can still call Brady that for now, Mahomes is well on his way. But if you look at wins and everything else, I think it's stupid to ever argue that Brady's not the best to ever play at this point. If he's telling you to get rid of the ball, get rid of the ball. Like, that is the reason Brady played so well till he was 55.
Well, it's also a reason why he could be effective in a system with mediocre receivers as well. Right. And that's exactly what we have this year. Sky Moore is for all intents and purposes, is a Wes Welker or a Julian Edelman, right?
This is a wild question. If Tom Brady were the Chiefs' starting quarterback this year, would the offense look better than it does now?
I will say this. I think Patrick Mahomes is hands down a better quarterback than Tom Brady.
Yeah.
If you take away accolades and everything like that, and you just say this guy's on the field, this guy's on the field,
pure athleticism.
I'm taking Patrick Mahomes 10 times out of 10. But what you just asked, I think yes. I think the Chiefs' offense would be better with Tom Brady this year.
I agree.
And I think there's two reasons. I'm sorry, but I think there's two reasons for that. A, he gets rid of the ball, and he does not hold on to the ball. So it gets to the point to where you have to be in the system. You have to be in the right place at the right time. If you're not, you're exposed. And number two, he has no tolerance for BS. Mahomes will sit and back his guys every day, no matter how bad they are. Tom Brady will not do that. He'll call them out straight on the field and have some accountability. He would be throwing an absolute fit on some of these guys.
I agree.
I think that's the difference there. And once again, I want to express, I think Patrick Mahomes is way better than Tom Brady. If you're just saying, quarterback for quarterback on the field, and you take out all the accolades and everything. But I do think that's I think Mahomes needs a little bit more fire this year. I think he needs to get a little bit more vocal, and you have to hold some some of those guys accountable.
Right. Like, I get that Mahomes doesn't have any weapons. I get that I get that he holds the ball too long. I get that he don't trust his people. But, dude, you're an MVP, multiple MVP, Super Bowl MVP, 2 rings. I think that you have to that's what we've not seen. Tom Brady would have adjusted his style of play to have made this work, whereas Mahomes is not adjusted his style of play. If anything, he's dug into himself more. He's held the ball more. He's extended the plays more. And it's like, I feel like this is where he should have went back to Andy and been like, look, we all got to get on the same page, and we've got to dumb this down, and we've got to be quicker.
The thing about it is Mahomes can mask a lot more bad play than a Tom Brady can, because of his athleticism, his ability to get outside the pocket, stretch plays out, make miracles happen. Sometimes it'll hide, how bad these receivers are. This year, not so much. But I would say,
feel like in a time like we're struggling, so everything's struggling, do you feel like you need that crazy magician, or do you feel like that's just exacerbating the problem? Like, you almost got to get back to basics.
Well, that's what I'm saying. And that's the only reason why I said I think Brady could have this offense a little bit better right now, is because he's not as capable as Mahomes of doing a lot of things. And he couldn't mask a lot of this stuff. So what would Tom Brady do? He would throw the ball to a spot, and when they weren't there, he would expose them. He would yell at them, and that would be that. Be like, look, Sky Moore can't do this position. Get him out of here. I mean, think about this for a second. While we're on the subject, we got a lot of people that think that our most reliable target is Justin Watson. Tom Brady ran him out of Tampa Bay because he could not do the right things. So, I mean, think about that.
Well, a lot of people were saying after the game, Andy and Patrick and a lot of them kind of sit on that call. They didn't talk about that pass interference or anything.
Of course not.
And people were like, dude, if that would have been Belichick and Brady, you'd have never heard the end of it. They'd have took the fines. They'd have took whatever. And I'll give them that. If you cheat to win, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. Those two were trying. Like, they are competitors.
They were cheaters, though.
Yeah, but they did want to win. You can't say that they both didn't have some fire in them to win, because they did whatever it took. And I'm not saying we had to cheat to win, but I'd like to see the same, like, fire. Like, go out there and you tell them about it. But, I just thought that was a weird question to ask.
I think Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes both make, plenty of money to take a fine. And I think that they both are most, prominent enough in the league to be able to say things like that,
Yeah. Tristan says, Mike, I think you should get an MVS shirt. I'm getting one.
Don't do it, Tristan.
Please don't.
Only if it says MVS on the back.
Look, I think MVS, 1,000%, you could be one of those. Unless they're a legend, unless you're a legendary player like Derek Thomas or something, I will not continue to wear players that don't play here anymore. Like, for example, if I had a Tyrann Mathieu jersey, and I do, I haven't wore it since. I will not wear my Tyreek Hill jersey.
I think that,
I have a thing.
It's like, those two are acceptable, though. I think those two are acceptable. They both contributed to a Super Bowl ring.
But I'm just saying, I don't prefer to do it. So if I was to get an MV ass shirt, which I'm probably never, but I think he's going to be gone this year. So I couldn't do it. But it is what it is. Do you also think Brady, this is the last thing I'd say, do you think Brady on this team would literally be like, whoever's playing the slot, we're just going to run the same inside slant play, and I'm going to pepper you 15 times a game if I have to, because these guys just aren't running routes properly.
Absolutely. I think you would see Sky Moore be used like Edelman or Welker. They do a lot of slants. Same with Darius Toney.
Can you remember the last time the Chiefs actually run a legit slant pass and Patrick Mahomes completed a slant on the run and hit the guy in stride? Can you even name the last play?
Dude, I'm telling you, it happened this year, and I can't remember if it was Sky or Kadarius. No, might have been Rasheed Rice actually, but they actually ran a legit slant and they got major yardage.
Yeah.
And never went back to it.
Dude, we used to do that a lot with Tyreek Hill.
Right.
He would run those little slants right over the field, and they would just go.
Well, the Buffalo game, the 13-second game, that touchdown that he scored there was just a little slant, broke it all the way open.
Yeah, I feel like they've taken some stuff out of the offense, and it's kind of weird because it's almost like the offense is too complex, and at the same time, it's too easy. Like the DBs are running routes for him out there.
Let me tell you what I've noticed, Mike. I actually, in my downtime when I just felt like crap, I did watch some All-22 tape, and over a few of the games. And I'll tell you one constant that I've seen with this offense. You only have, like, whether there's 4 pass catchers out there, 5.
Yeah.
You only have one guy usually on any given play running a meaningful route. The rest of them are terrible decoys. And they're not even convincing. Like a lot of times I'll just run out a few yards and stop. Or like there's nothing going on. It's stale. He's got one read and then there's nothing open, and all of a sudden it's scramble drill. And I'll tell you, dude, I've seen it way more than I wanted to see when I was watching that All-22, where one guy is going to have a meaningful route and the rest of them are garbage. And I think that's a big problem we're having right now.
Seen that a lot. I know what you're talking about. You get 2 out of the 3 to 4 receivers, and they're literally just running 4 yards and turning around.
Yeah.
They did that a lot last year too. I think the only thing was they used Juju to do that a lot, and I think Juju would actually do that and then scramble well with Mahomes. They had a nice
well, I mean, that's the thing. Like I was saying earlier about Zach Ertz, like I feel like he's a guy with experience that, like, hey, I'm running this route and I know I'm a decoy, but hey, if I can find a soft spot here, I can get open. That's the kind of stuff that we need. We don't have that.
Right. SA Flip, what's up, brother? He says, Mike, you got to take into consideration the coaches has to adjust their player skill sets. We can't run plays like wide receivers. Like
exactly, and that's exactly what they're doing. Is they're trying to run plays for guys that we don't have. Yeah,
but every wide receiver should be able to run a slant.
We
shouldn't be able to you're not going to be able to Tyreek Hill deep ball people.
Right. Well, I'm glad Flip brought this up because Richie actually, shout out Richie, said last night on my live stream that I did by myself. He said, hey, Andy Reid's trying to run a Lamborghini offense with no parts right now.
I've seen that. That was a great metaphor.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he don't have the weapons that he's had in the past, and he's still trying to run the same types of concepts, and it's just not working. So maybe you got, like Mike said earlier, you got to get back to the basics and do things a little different.
Right. And I think what Richie said is exactly what Flip's saying here. We are running, we're running Tyreek Hill routes with Justin Watson. It ain't working.
Of course not.
You're running Tyreek Hill routes with Sky Moore. That's not what Sky Moore's game is, and that's why we keep saying not going to happen. Right. They're always going to look bad. Ray says he misses Jody Fortson. He was good in the red zone. I do think Jody Fortson in this offense would be at least somewhat of a weapon for Mahomes that Mahomes is comfortable throwing to. Mahomes would throw up balls to Jody Fortson in coverage. He'd throw them deep. He'd throw them open. I remember the Chargers game a few years back when he just threw that nice little wheel route to Jody Fortson, and that was beautiful. Mahomes doesn't have that. I feel like he's got better chemistry with Jody Fortson than he does any wide receiver on this team at this point.
Well,
so I think you might be right, Ray.
Yeah, I would agree with that. But then again, Jody Fortson's just never been able to be on the field. So
yeah, that's Jody Fortson's problem. He's just, somebody asked if what's his name was playing this week. Charles Omenihu. Is Charles Omenihu on some kind of injury report?
He did get injured in the game. I'm not sure what happened.
Yeah, I'm not seeing him on any kind of report or any kind of news on the injury.
It must have been it's probably just something in game. If I'm not mistaken, he played at the end of the game.
If Omenihu was to go out, if they was to suspend Pacheco, if Tranquil can't go, if Bolton's not playing, if Cook's not playing, we may be in some trouble this week. I'm just telling you, and this is kind of a must-win. Things are not stacking. It almost feels like the football gods are trying to put a curse on KC. It feels like we're starting to hit that weird.
Here's the
people's
thing.
Just attacking us.
Can I address that for a second?
Yes.
So the football gods are trying to put a curse on KC. KC put the curse on themselves because when you have a healthy team and you have a defense playing the way they were, you handle business. KC did not handle business when they needed to, and now it can come back and bite them in the ass. And I'm sorry, but that's just on them, 100%.
Hey, question. This is kind of different. I'm sure it's been asked somewhere. When the Tyreek Hill trade happened 2 years ago, so last year was our first year without Tyreek Hill, correct? Yes. We did win the Super Bowl without Tyreek. Yes. And everybody said, didn't need Tyreek, great trade, didn't need him. Looking back this year and seeing the struggles, is the Tyreek Hill trade still a win for KC, or do you think it's narrowed the gap now? Because granted, we did win the Super Bowl, but
I still don't think that Tyreek's necessary for this team to win. I don't.
Right.
And I do know that we wouldn't have Trent McDuffie if we didn't trade Tyreek Hill.
Maybe.
Or GK.
Right. You might not have them both, but maybe you could have traded the GK pick to get up there.
Oh, no. I think you can look at it from a couple different ways. This year when we're struggling to find a receiver that can do a job competently, then sure, it looks bad. But I do think this team can still find a way to win. Andy's just got to figure it out and put the pieces in the right places.
So you still think it's a win for the Chiefs here? You don't think it's a...
I would call it a push at this point, to be quite honest.
I'm kind of... at first, I called it a win by KC because I thought they built the defense with it pretty well, and you had it. But now that I see that Brett Veach just won't address the receiver spot, now I'm like, I think maybe it's a push.
Right. Well, I think the one thing is they've got to get out of the mindset that they're going to replace Tyreek Hill. That's never happening. You can't replace Tyreek Hill.
That's the deal.
Can we move on from that? We don't need 25 slot receivers that might turn into a speedster like Hill. We don't need that.
That's the problem with Veach and the wide receiver. They're looking for one guy to go 1-for-1 with Tyreek, whereas I think you need 3 very competent veterans, possibly, because young guys just don't develop fast enough and Reed don't use them. So you need 2 to 3 competent veterans that could do it. And that's why I think the MVS Juju combination worked last year. And then when Juju drops off, MVS by himself, not great.
No.
Justin Watson don't really fill the Juju role. Sky Moore ain't doing it. I think that's the thing.
Well, I think
people didn't give Juju enough credit, I don't think.
I think trying to replicate Tyreek Hill has been the major problem with the bad receivers that we've gotten drafts, starting with McCole Hardman. If you weren't trying to compensate for Tyreek Hill because that year they thought he was going to be in trouble and he wasn't going to play. So what do? They trade up and take a guy that no one else would have took in that round, just because he ran a 4.3. And they failed to see that DK Metcalf sitting there, who also ran a 4.3, who plays a different style, who is going to be way more effective in the league than McCole Hardman could ever be. They didn't see that because they were too busy trying to replicate Tyreek Hill. Then I think in this not last draft, but the one before that with Sky Moore, it was the same concept. I think they passed on some good receivers there because they were trying to get another quick guy.
I hear you. Do you see BP right down here? Mike's playing 2 Jujus and a Kelce.
Be perfect, wouldn't it?
If you had 2 Juju Smith-Schusters and Travis Kelce, we'd be winning all day long. But I'm going to say this. Juju, I don't think signing Juju this year for what he wanted was a good move. So I think Brett Veach had to move on from Juju.
I don't. I think you cut MVS. Injury, I don't care. I still would have cut MVS and took Juju.
Well, yeah, I would have taken that too. But I think that
and MVS is making what I get that, but they're paying MVS the same as they would have paid Juju.
Right.
I think that was a terrible decision.
I'm with you. I don't look. It sounds like we just pick on MVS a lot, but when you look at MVS's career, he was always just known as a burner for the deep ball that had bad hands.
Yes,
and we've seen that. We've always known that he wasn't a good route runner. He's not a guy that moves the chains because of his hands. Like, we've got what we've got, and why Brett Veach thought that was worth $11 million a year is beyond me.
I don't know, man.
Weird, but yeah, Brian Perry.
Very
I do
weird.
think 2 Jujus and a Kelce would be pretty nice.
Appreciate you guys. Appreciate you guys being here. Hit the like button if you haven't. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. We're going to talk a little bit more about this Buffalo game, and then we're going to head out for the day. But yeah, also patreon.com/allchiefedup. Go be a member over there. It's $10 a month. You get bonus episodes weekly. Also merch.allchiefedup.com. Get yourself some swag over there. And I know I've been showing it to you quite a bit, but I'm going to keep doing it because it's almost Christmas and you got to get one of these bad boys. They're selling great. Get you one of these Merry Chiefsmas Christmas sweaters and be the coolest looking person at your Christmas party or family gathering, whatever it is. ACU holiday promo code, 20% off on everything in the store. So take advantage of that. It'll be going on until January 2nd. But if you want one of these bad boys for Christmas, you better start ordering it now. So get over there and that goes to supporting the channel as well. But back to Buffalo and KC a little bit before we get out of here today. Like I said, do I think it's a must-win game? I don't think it's a must-win, but I think if you want to be in the best position to win the Super Bowl, it is. So I'm kind of leaning more towards that because I'd like to see the Chiefs be the 1 seed and have the best opportunity to win the Super Bowl. But looking back at Buffalo this season, Mike, we'll just go through their games a little bit. They've been a little back and forth, right? They lost to the Jets in overtime right at the beginning of the year. They beat the dog crap out of the Raiders 38-10. They beat the Commanders like a redheaded stepchild 37-3. They beat the Dolphins, kicked the dolphin poop right out of them, man, 48-20.
48-20.
Then they started to struggle just a bit. The Jaguars got them by 5, but the Jags are a good team.
Jags are a good team.
But they struggled with the Giants 14-9.
That may be the worst loss on their schedule.
They didn't lose, they won. But it's still bad.
That's right.
It's still bad.
Right.
But a win's a win. The worst loss on their schedule to me is the Patriots, 29-25.
Yeah, the Patriots.
They barely beat the Buccaneers. They lost to the Bengals. That was when Burrow was still healthy, I believe.
Yeah.
They lost to the Broncos the week after the Chiefs lost to the Broncos, so you can't knock them too much for that loss. And then they beat the crap out of the Jets, and then they only lost to the Eagles by 3. So they've kind of been right there with Kansas City, losing to the Broncos and then barely losing to the Eagles in games that they probably should have won. Buffalo should have won that game against the Eagles, the same way the Chiefs should have won that game against the Eagles. So, I mean, the way they've been playing in the situation you're in, Mike, like, I guess, what's your confidence level? Do you think the Chiefs are going to get out there and get it done, or do you think this is going to be a dogfight?
Dude, my initial gut tells me that it's going to be a close game. That it's going to be close. But I just look. I don't think.
Do you hear I'm sorry. Do you hear like a CB in the background, or is that just me? I hear like I hear a trucker. He's like 10-4.
Yeah, he's coming through your headphones. He's like 10-4, good buddy. The Bills might get a win down there.
10-4, son, bitch. We're gonna take a left right here on 65.
We're gonna be up here. Look, I don't know, man. It might be K Wayne trying to come through.
K Wayne,
what you doing, bro? No, I think it's gonna be close because I think the Chiefs do have to find. They got to find that dog inside of them and get out there and fight. And I think at Arrowhead helps. I think the crowd will keep them in it. I think they'll be a little more focused. Again, do they have the firepower to keep up with Buffalo? Are the injuries going to cause Buffalo's offense to have just enough advantage that maybe our defense goes from holding them to 21-24 and now maybe they sneak into the 30s? Okay, Wayne, there you go. So, and then my thing is, look, they put up 34 against the Eagles at Philly, and they probably should have beat the Eagles, to be honest. Or maybe it was I don't know where it was at. Was that at Buffalo or was it at Philly? Do you remember?
1 second, I'll tell you. It was at Philly.
It was at home, yeah. So they went into Philly. That's a tough place to play. So
they had that game won too. Of course, when it went to overtime, you knew Josh Allen was going to lose.
They're playing good football. I think the only thing that saves the Chiefs from taking another L, I think we could lose 4 out of 6 right here. That's my initial thought because they're just not instilling confidence. It's hard. Like, you can be just that homer that's wishing, that we come out and we play, but I'm not seeing it. So I feel like the only thing that saves us from taking a loss this week is that you have to create turnovers, and then ourselves, we have to take care of the ball. No more stupid penalties, no turnovers, and if we get in the red zone, we have got to convert touchdowns. Field goals won't do it. Right. And I mean, it's as simple as that. And if I had to lean, the Chiefs have shown me that they are not disciplined, so the penalties will still be there. They've shown me that they're not good at not converting in the red zone. And I mean, my initial gut says that we may take another L this week, and our fan base is gonna. I mean, there's a sub portion of the fan base that's gonna just be like, "Oh, it's okay. Every loss is okay, and we're fine." But then you're gonna have half of the fan base, probably us included, it's gonna be on sheer meltdown.
Right.
But at this point, are we even melting down over losses anymore? I've kind of got to the point where it's like we are who we are.
Are you getting back in the groove of losing like when we had Matt Castle? That's
what I'm afraid of. And it sounds weird that you're 8-4, and it sounds like you're just being stupid and selfish and doom and gloom. But this team
it's been a lot over the last few weeks. You know, it's been a lot at once.
I feel like they've lost their fight a little bit, and that bothers me.
Well, here's my thing, man. We talk about, is it a must win? Is it do or die? You have to win this game? No. But at the same time, like I said, I believe it's I believe it's a must win because you want them to control the 1 seed. But not only that, simultaneously, this team is still not turned the corner this year and started playing at the right time. We're late into the season. It's time for this team to start clicking, looking disciplined, being efficient, putting points on the board when they have opportunities, being efficient in the red zone. And I think, against a tough opponent like Buffalo, this is a week where you're going to see what they have. Are they going to turn it and do this thing, or are they not? If they go out and get the crap beat out by Buffalo, I have no faith in them going forward. If they go out and play with some heart and look halfway decent on offense and win this game and find a way to win, then I'm going to feel a lot more comfortable about this team rolling the rest of the season. I will say that. I feel like it's a turning point. It's kind of a crossroad, whichever way you look at it.
Isn't that all? Isn't that all that I asked for? All that you asked for? All that Chiefs Kingdom asked for is for them to go out and fight and look like they want to be in the game. I get it. If you lose, you lose. If you had that bad call there at the end of the game. That's the thing,
man. We don't know. It's hard to tell, not being on the sideline or in the locker room, if they've been fighting or not. But I'll tell you, from outside looking in, it don't seem that way.
Right.
I don't want to say that they're not and them actually be, because I don't know 100%. But I'm just saying, from our perspective, it does look a little flat.
Yeah, everybody just kind of looks flat. It looks like everybody else is excited to play us. They're excited to put one on the champs, and we're just kind of sitting there taking it. We look like a Alexis Texas. Just sitting there taking it. Like, I ain't having it.
Michael.
We're not doing it. Sorry. Had to throw it out there. I don't know,
is that how you want to end this?
That's how I want to end it, baby. Everybody, big booty Judy. I don't know. I want the Chiefs to win. My heart, my Chiefs fandom just wants us to just turn the corner and win.
Well, I think that's my thing. I feel like this is the time to do it. If you're not going to do it now, it's not going to happen. So I do kind of feel like for that reason, it is a must win. Like, because it's not, even if we weren't playing Buffalo, like, it's still like, this is you're at a point in the season where it's like, hey, are we going to do this or are we not?
Right.
Like, something's got to happen.
Yeah.
It just, you've already took enough bad L's. Like, you can't do it no more.
It's that old adage, crap or get off the pot. Like, it's time.
Yeah.
It's time. Are we going to do it or not? Is a receiver going to step up or not? Because
Mike, don't you tell them to take a dump, because they will go right to the 50-yard line and take a healthy dump, and it'll be a long Sunday. So be careful what you say.
Hey, they've been dumping on my feelings all year.
That's great.
No, it's okay. It's so weird that an 8-4 team that's one game out, and you can feel so weird from it. And that sounds so weird, like you're just being spoiled. And I guess it is a little spoiled, but at the same time, it's not. It's one of those things where, like, if you have a really smart child, right, and they're applying for Yale by the time they're in the 8th grade, and then they start high school and they start slacking off because they keep having friends over and they won't do their homework. It's that kind of thing. It's like, you have a bright future. Why are you being a jerk? Like, do it. Like, it's that. It's disappointment. It's the old disappointment. You're disappointed.
You know what else is a disappointment? We're not anywhere near 100 likes yet.
Come on.
And that disappoints me. So please, if you want the Chiefs to actually turn the corner and beat Buffalo this week and get this thing in here, let's get this to 100 likes. Go hit that like button on your way out. That way, when I look at it here in a few minutes, I feel a little bit more warm and fuzzy. Chiefs Kingdom got to be fired up too.
Yeah.
ACU crew got to be fired up. Let's get this thing. Appreciate you guys being here with us today. Sorry, it's a little bit of an early war room, but we're doing what we can do as far as schedules go right now. It's been a little touch and go. But yeah, man, appreciate you guys. Mike, you got anything left for them today?
I want you guys to look me in the eyes right now. Let's beat the Bills. Daggone, I'm tired of this. I'm tired of getting beat by Green Bay.
Yeah, man. Tell me about it. We got to recover.
This has been a rough 5 weeks.
We got to get the bad taste out of our mouth. And what better team to do it against than Buffalo? Let's make Josh Allen cry.
Josh Allen sucks.
Let's make him cry. Go Chiefs.
Aside from my soul.